And welcome back to KOLO-8 News Now Midday. Frank Marino joining us once again. We talked to you earlier this morning, and we talked a lot about Joan Rivers because we talked about the lawsuit that you faced with her.
Do you have to start out with that?
Yes, because it's fascinating.
It's the interesting part.
The question I have, though, is when you first met her, because now you're kind of friends with her. Yeah. When you first met her, were you dressed as Joan? Or
no.
Were you, oh, okay.
It was in Atlantic City, and I just went backstage, and I told her I was an impersonator.
Okay.
So she says, oh, really? This is so-and-so who produces the show. And they were putting a show in Atlantic City at the time. And they asked me to audition. And I auditioned for the show. And we went to Florida for 6 months. And if you remember, Pia Zadora
sure.
and her husband, Michelin Rickless, owned the Riviera, had seen the show. And we were the first show, they hired us, and we were the first show to have, the first hotel to have 2 shows in a hotel.
Wow.
And we started with a 3-month contract, and we ended up staying for 30 years.
Now, 30 years, Frank, you are known as Las Vegas's longest running headliner. That is quite the title.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny when I look back and I remember meeting Sammy Davis Jr., which is Sammy's room is where I'm playing now.
Yeah.
So that's like crazy. I was so young, I didn't Liberace and the real stars, Frank Sinatra and the Rack Pack.
Can I ask you something about Liberace? I wonder if you'd know this. Apparently and I saw some of his clothing at the museum there. It was very heavy.
Yeah.
Did he work out a lot to support wearing that stuff?
I don't know, but I can tell I've tried on those coats.
And they're very heavy.
In the early days, we wore real fur.
Sure.
Okay, before we realized that was wrong. And what I was doing was going to the furrier, and she'd be like, you could try it on when they're not here. She did all Liberace's clothes.
Oh, that's
so
amazing.
I would try. I tried on that one with the diamonds that said Liberace and everything, the $1 million coat. So it was a lot of fun.
So 30 years in Vegas, people here in Reno have not gotten to see you.
I know, I'm brand new.
You're here. You're here.
I'm
until
here.
March 16th.
I never get out of Las Vegas. So I'm actually personally here for the weekend. We're going to do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
At Divas Day Out at GSR this weekend.
Saturday, Divas Day Out, which is going to be a great event. We do it in Vegas every year, and this is the 2nd year they're doing it here. And then I'm going to have a fill-in for me, and we're here till, like you said, March 16th, and I'm excited. So far, we opened last night. It was a great turnout. Everybody had a great, amount of fun, and it might be something where we come back quite often.
Now, this show is called Divas, in case you missed it, but they impersonate leading ladies of the world, and we're talking about Joan Rivers, of course, that Frank does, Bette Midler, Britney, Gaga, Rihanna. Do you have one in particular that's probably your most popular that the crowd goes crazy for?
Every place we go, it's different. Like, we were just in Laughlin, and I found out Dionne Warwick was the biggest. Last night, Pink went over amazing.
Oh, we like her.
Yes.
Yeah, so you have
there's
Pink.
Katy Perry, there's Lady Gaga. You see Janet Jackson. We do them all. So Tina Turner. We're going to have people for the older generation, where that's me with all the different gowns. You're going to get Cher. You're going to get Madonna. You're going to get Diana Ross, your staples. And then we're going to throw in the young people. We're going to put Rihanna, and we're going to put all, I'm looking for Miley Cyrus. I want to throw that out there again. If anybody's doing Miley, please contact me, Facebook.
I think we've already booked Lindsay.
Is it Lindsay?
Yeah,
Lindsay's
in.
Okay.
Lindsay is in.
Frank, you made a comment earlier about how many men resist going to the show with their wives or whatever, but when they walk out of there, they love it. And I read those Yelp reviews. The men love it.
Yeah, I'm kind of lucky that the woman usually wins what show we're going to see tonight. So she will drag her husband in, no pun intended, and he'll sit there under duress, and within the first 15 minutes of the show, I notice he's enjoying it more than she is. And what I believe is, I open the show, when I do Joan, I make the men feel comfortable. We're not selling a lifestyle, we're selling a form of entertainment, which they find very interesting and bizarre. And then I'm risque enough that they enjoy it, and then they see all the incredible lookalikes, and the cast just takes over from there, and they just have such a fun time.
You say no pun intended. I think you've used that joke before.
No pun intended.
Frank Marino, again, Divas going on Harrah's Reno until the 16th. Frank, thanks so much for waking up and being part of our morning show and here at midday as well.
And if you want tickets, just go to KOLOTV.com, and I put up a link on there. So just click Hot Topics, and then you'll go to Frank's site on Harrah's.